It was shortly after I had given up my virginity that all these problems had happened. And it was shortly after that that I was raped by a boy who I liked, and I did say no, and it was forced upon me. And when I went to this with my mother, she was unable to cope and unable to help me because she had unresolved trauma from her childhood that was undealt with. And so she expressed great anger at me. And this resulted in me leaving home at the age of 16, running away. I didn't know how to take care of myself. I was only a child myself. And so my survival mode began to get yet another man who was 24 to have sex with me. I moved in with him. And when he began to realize that I was damaged, that I had problems, and wanted me to leave, all these insecurities, all my issues started, abandonment issues started coming back up, and I got pregnant. I got pregnant on purpose. Because I wanted to be loved. I wanted to have a family. I wanted to belong. But little did I know, just because you have a baby doesn't make somebody love you. In fact, it doesn't even make them want you. Everybody wanted my baby, but nobody wanted me. And I remember that feeling so very clearly. Just feeling like I was thrown away. I was a waste of space. So now not only did I not only have my child, I didn't have my parents. I had nobody. And I just felt that everybody would be better off without me. And so I really ran away. I ran away from Alberta to British Columbia, hitchhiking. And there, I found myself seeking the same kind of love, chasing yet another man. I was at the age of 19, and I was seeking the attention of a man who was 38. He was an alcoholic, and he was mentally ill. And I begged him to love me and not to leave me, no matter what he put me through. I just wanted to be loved, and I didn't know about how to go about being loved. I honestly didn't even know what love was. Love at that point had only ever felt like hurt to me. So I got myself pregnant again. And at this time, he didn't want the baby, nor did he want me. And he left, and I was homeless. I called my father, and I asked him if I could come home. I was pregnant, and I was on the street. And his answer to me was, no, you had better stay where you are. Not knowing anything better to do. I went to the hospital, and I told them I was on drugs, which I was not on drugs at that time. I told them I was so that, I don't know, I could have some place to sleep, something to eat. And that they did for me. They got me into transition house, got me into a place to live, got a roof over my head, and things really started getting together for me there. I moved to Vancouver. I was working at a soup kitchen out there and volunteering, bringing my baby with me, and things were going really well for me. But then that feeling inside of me of not being worthy, of not being enough, of not being loved, came over, and I started chasing, that high of a man. Anybody who would love me. And that resulted into me getting pregnant yet again. At this time then, I had 2 children. While I was pregnant with the second one, they would be 18 months apart. I moved with that man who actually, his first name ended up not even being his real name. I found out when we moved to Ontario, and that's how I ended up here in Ontario. But he resented me for trapping him, which ended up into another abusive relationship. I felt like nobody'd ever want me. I was 22 years old with 3 children, 2 only living with me at that time. Do you know, my heart hurt so bad. There was nothing worse than being a mom that didn't have her children. And I didn't know how to deal with that, so I just begged this guy to marry me, even though he wasn't nice to me. So we got engaged. On our day of our wedding, he threw me across the room, which resulted within a bruise from here to here that day. And he told me that nobody else would ever want me. So it was now or never. And I knew this wasn't going to end up well. But I got married. I did it. It ended up being a volatile situation. And who really suffered were the kids.